Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Thursday, April 30th, 2020. In both the Lynn life and the Jamie body mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions. And all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many search for truth rules already given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us. And we think that those rules should apply to the souls that came in right before the wake-up call at the end of this last overnight.
That's right.
And there was a soul who was spotted, and the reference was to Heart of Darkness and to the character Marlowe, who is the guy who went upriver to see what was going on and found that Kurtz had kind of, I guess, gone crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
And had set up a little fiefdom inside the jungle where really jungly rules applied.
That's right.
So in the dreaming, right before the wake-up call, we see somebody heading upriver, and the reference is very clearly to Heart of Darkness, and he doesn't yet know what he's going to find. The dreamer doesn't know what he's going to find. And as he's going up, he's noticing that the scenery that he's passing, which is very jungly, that it's not responding the way he would expect it to respond, given how fast he's going on the river in his boat. And then kind of the perspective zooms out, and we're able to see the dreamer from an observer's perspective, and we can see that something has happened behind him in the river he's coming upriver on in his power boat. Right behind him, it looks like Angel Falls, and it's clearly Angel Falls in Venezuela.
That's right.
I think that's where Angel Falls is. It's in South America for sure, and Heart of Darkness is set in Africa, so it's different continents, but they're both Southern Hemisphere. Not sure how relevant that is, and somebody's making the point about dream interpretation and how there's so many signals being given about what's going on in the other dimensions via the metaphors presented in dreams.
That's right.
And you can get tangled up in the details, or you can also omit crucial details.
That's right.
And both of those errors don't help. Neither of those errors help. So we do notice that both major southern hemisphere continents, no disrespect to Australia, but that's what they're saying, both major southern hemisphere continents, not to mention Antarctica, which is enormous.
That's true.
But this is what they're saying. They're saying both major southern hemisphere continents are involved in this dream, and we know the southern hemisphere from the European perspective is probably the lesser hemisphere. No disrespect intended, and we're not saying that we affiliate with that identification or anything like that, but it's the less well known.
That's right, less familiar.
And they're showing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid,
they are.
And how they ran away to Bolivia.
That's right.
And so the point being, if you want to hide out, it's easier to do that in the southern hemisphere, like where the Nazis went, for example. They went to Argentina and Venezuela.
This might be a historian presence in the higher dimension who's speaking.
It's somebody who's really angry.
Yeah.
And they're so sick of the powers that be not acknowledging the same patterns play out over and over again.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what they're saying right now. But what's clear is that's Angel Falls, falling angels, fallen angels possibly, and that it's right behind, or it's moving closer and closer to the back of this power boat that obviously didn't leap Angel Falls. This Angel Falls seems to have developed after the dreamer set course upstream, headed into the Heart of Darkness.
That's true.
To find out what's going on with Kurtz, and Kurtz in Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad's great novel. Kurtz had gone crazy. And somebody now, this is a different speaker, and somebody is really sad and really troubled, and they're saying there's an important point to make about Heart of Darkness that this person, whoever they are who's speaking, feels is not often enough made. Like, why don't we talk about this one little point? And that's that Heart of Darkness, the entire storyline is told solely from the perspective of Marlowe, who casts himself as the protagonist.
That's right.
And there's no third-party independent observation given in that entire novel. And so for all we know, Marlowe is every bit as bad as Kurtz. Like maybe who knows, maybe he offed the third-party observers. Maybe that's why he's the only one surviving to tell the tale. We just don't know.
That's right.
And the person who's speaking is very troubled by that. And how can this story, Heart of Darkness, have been told over and over and over and over again in human society, and that point isn't getting emphasized the way it should be emphasized? For him is the message. Why do you ask? And how high up does this pattern go of just accepting the survivor's report as if the survivor is going to tell it completely truthfully? Whoa. Somebody keeps tapping on what they believe to be the most important fact of the entire story. They're saying this is time sensitive. That river is draining. The dreamer can see that the scenery isn't reacting the way it should be reacting.
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, the current must have really picked up, or this might be it, is the draining the swamp, which is another interesting metaphor. The whole swamp is draining, and it does look kind of like he's going through a swamp, like a cypress swamp or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's, or some other kind of swamp, but I can see water. We can see standing water under the trees, and it seems like the swamp is draining into the river, and the river is rushing fast. And of course the dreamer does not seem to be aware of the big waterfall that's kind of catching up to him. Like,
that's right.
We don't know how long. Maybe he's already gone down the waterfall right now. Maybe he just thinks he's still on a river, right? Maybe he's going down a waterfall. We don't know. Maybe. No, that's not what it means about the scenery not looking right. I think the scenery not looking right means the swamp is draining, and it doesn't make sense to him. He doesn't understand. Why would that swamp be quickly draining into this river?
That's right.
That's odd. And that's right where the dreamer is in his analysis of the situation when the wake-up call comes and the focus is drawn into this dimension out of that dimension.
That's right.
So obviously one important question is, how high up is the dimension of the dreaming? And they're pointing to something that happened 13 months ago to the day. It was the last day of the month of March in 2019.
That's right.
There was a similar experience, another dimension that we had at first called the black water portal, because the portal seemed to go up into just dark, murky black water that had big, scary things swimming in it. It's like, whoa, this is not good.
That's right.
And then wiser minds above, higher powers, took out the stopper, and the bucket drained. And then they kind of hosed out the bucket from above with enormous hoses, obviously.
That's right.
And then it became clear that it was a white bucket. An enormous white bucket big enough to hold universes.
That's right.
And then those wiser minds above at that level said, this white bucket portal that used to be called the Blackwater portal and now we're calling the white bucket portal, this white bucket portal will never close again, ever. It will be open for all eternity so that life in the depths can once more be in connection with divinity.
That's right.
And we've felt great about it. We, the members of the Search for Truth community, felt so grateful and relieved. And 2 days later, that portal closed.
That's right.
And not only has it never reopened, or not yet reopened, but that dimension is completely gone.
Exactly.
Showing that possibly wiser minds above had or have a wrong frame of reference about life in the depths, about life in the darkness, about life in the heart of darkness. So who does this character Marlowe represent?
That's the question.
And that name Marlowe has been referred to just this last week in reference to a street address of they're calling him a character
That's right.
who's affiliated with they're saying the play of the nature preserve, which is actually playing out in this dimension.
That's true.
But from the other dimensional perspective, a play is a play. A dream is a dream. What difference does it make? If it isn't happening in the dimension of the observer, then
That's
it's an other dimensional experience. And that chairman of the board of the nature preserve lives on a street named Marlowe. And we just can't help but notice that this character is also named Marlowe. And we wonder who that nature preserve chairman of the board represents. Who is this person, this important person, the one in charge? The only one who survives to tell the tale, and in his tale he's a good guy. But who's to say, really? What does that represent? Is there any way to get third-party observations? Is there any way to get independent? They say that's what you are. You guys don't listen to us.
That's right.
For whom is the message? Why do you ask? We've been reporting this. We've been for 8 months.
Oh yeah.
8 months reporting the happenings at this nature preserve, and we've been saying this almost from the start as something is fishy, something is going on. These people are not acting innocent. These people are acting like something's going on.
These people affiliated with the nature preserve here on Ground Zero.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, yes. And now we see this dreamer, and the
That's
metaphor
right.
is of this character Marlowe, who all we really know about him is that he does seem to go to Africa, and then everything else is per his own report.
Exactly.
Like he goes to Africa and he comes back from Africa, and what happens in between, we don't actually have independent third-party verification. Like,
Exactly.
we don't know what happened. For him is the message. Why do you ask? And how high up is the dimension in which that Marlowe character is operating? And who above that dimension is aware of what's going on? Are there kind of like amateur videographers or third-party observers above that Marlowe character? Like, who can see, if you just bounce off a mirror still looking up, who is looking down upon that speedboat guy watching the waterfall kind of racing upriver right behind the boat? I see eyes.
I see eyes.
They don't seem all that interested.
No. I feel like they're above the level where the waterfall comes from, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. They seem kind of disgusted by the whole thing.
That's the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything down there is yucky.
Yeah, it's filth. Filth upon filth. Who cares? Oh, now we have a different soul who's coming in. It might be Mother Mary, and she wants to talk about the Rohingya boat people.
That's right.
Who have been, for some couple of months now, trapped on boats in between Myanmar, where they're fleeing, and Bangladesh, where they were hoping to head to.
That's right.
And both Myanmar and Bangladesh are very poor countries.
That's right.
And presumably the wealthy countries know about this. The wealthy countries patrol the seas with their expensive aircraft carriers and battleships and whatnot and submarines. And these Rohingya boat people are being terribly abused. They're being starved and beaten and raped, and some days they don't even get water. And the people who are telling the tales are all young people, like they're people right around 20 years old.
That's right.
Young men and young women who are giving these reports, and they're desperate. And we weren't able to get ourselves to watch the video, but we did look at the picture. The organization, the aid organization who is trying to enlist support or help for these people is Fortify Rights.
Mm-hmm.
Fortify
That's right.
Rights. And we should help. We're getting all hung up in how our own troubles are impacting us, and we don't have troubles compared to those people, and many humans care only about other humans.
That is true.
And if we humans aren't going to help people like the Rohingya boat people who are being ejected from a Buddhist country because the British brought their ancestors there as like slave workers.
Exactly.
And then the British pulled out in the collapse of colonialism, leaving the Rohingya in a country where they were not welcome. And they kind of represented colonialism, and they've been targeted by this most Buddhist country in the world, which doesn't speak well about humanity, because Buddhism is the least violent religion.
That's right.
Buddhists known for their pacifism. And if even a Buddhist country is treating ethnic minorities in that fashion, then this is bad for all of us humans. And surely we wealthy people can see that these boat people have been in quarantine for 2 months since they've been on those boats.
That's right.
And we don't need to be worried about their COVID status. And we can send in our aircraft carriers and pick them up. That's what we did with the Vietnamese boat people. But we didn't do that as a country until after there was a lot of public opinion and an embarrassment of the government. And then the government did go pick up the boat people. And surely this is an embarrassment for humanity, is it not? Can we stop talking about the stock market and just go pick up those people who are being beaten and starved and not even given water? They look so desperate. Go to Fortify Rights and see if you, I don't know how to go to their website. We just get their action emails, so we're sure that there's some way. Find a way to help. And Bangladesh is saying we've done all we can, and Bangladesh is an extremely poor country, heavily populated, very low lying. It is the first major country that's likely to be flooded out by climate change, sea level rise, and they've got their own problems, in other words. Very poor country with their own problems.
That's right.
And it's ridiculous for us wealthy countries to say, let Bangladesh handle it.
Exactly.
And this was a British caused problem.
That's right.
And we're not saying let the Brits handle it because we're the ones with the aircraft carriers.
Exactly.
So we're saying, come on, let's us handle it. And if the Brits want to chip in, awesome.
That's right.
Come on. We look so selfish. We look awful talking about the stock market. Things like this are happening, and not just in Yemen. It's happening in Myanmar, Bangladesh, many other places. Yemen is awful. If you want to look into the Yemeni situation, that'll make you cry.
Oh, yeah.
After a while, there's nothing to do but cry. And help.